Welcome back to our series for Hearthstone. We are doing this week because we weren't able to get to Chrono Trigger last week. We were in Vegas for the better part of the week, and unfortunately, we just weren't able to get around to it. It'll be back next Monday, but in the meantime, we're going to be playing something a little bit different than the last time we visited this. A fun little ramp druid. This is not all that different from many other decks of its type, and this is an archetype that's been around since before this most recent expansion. There's a couple of new toys that go with it, though, and we'll talk about them along the way. So, Ramp Druid means that we're trying to build as many mana crystals as quickly as possible so that we're getting more impact out of the cards we play on our turns than our opponent. And to do that, we have Double Innervate, which is, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't run Double Innervate in any Druid deck, but, you know, that's fine. We got 2 Wild Growths. Those are nice because they work in a couple different ways. Obviously, they're the empty mana crystal, but if you get to turn 10 and you have full mana, it basically turns into a free card draw. Some ramps would not run the Darnassus Aspirant. I am, because I don't have the greatest pool of cards to choose from. There's a lot of ways to kill it and just have you immediately waste the mana crystal, but at worst, it's a 2-mana 2/3. Down here, we have one of the new tricks, the Myra Keeper. Gives you the option to also gain an empty mana crystal. Being able to innervate this out on turn 2 or so is a very fun play, because then a 3/3 on turn 2 is already good, plus the empty mana crystal going forward. And then in the late game, you can also just get a 2/2 slime out of it, so you're getting 5/5 stats for 4, so either way it works out well. Now, with all that done, we're looking at the high end. Obviously, this curve slants significantly towards the high end because we're looking to get there and then just start playing threats that our opponents can't keep up to. So we have some of the big beefy stuff. We have a North Sea Kraken. Does 4 damage, nice stats. We have an Nefarian because I don't have the best options in this deck. It's okay. And we're going to have the mana to play those random spells pretty frequently. Not the same turn, but in subsequent turns. I'd rather have like a Ysera here, but I don't have it. I do have a Ragnaros. I crafted this once the expansions came out and we switched to Classic because it's in that original set, so I don't have to worry about losing it. We have one Ironbark Protector. I've found that this is handy against both aggro decks and mid-range decks because it just puts out a big beefy threat. And there are so many other concerns in this deck that you can't see a lot of, say, Shadow Word Death against it, because then Ragnaros, for example, gets to run rampant. But 2 Ancient of Wars, same reason, putting up big, beefy taunters to protect us. 1 Ancient of Lore, this probably would have been 2 before the nerf. And we would have done 2 of those and only 1 Nourish. But after the nerf, 1 card's fine. It's a little understated at 7 mana then. And the 5 health can come in handy. Because beefier minions are the big thing in this most recent post-expansion meta, I think a Black Knight gives us tremendous value. It's very easy to find plenty of good taunts to hit it with. Sylvanas, just because it's super good. 1 Master Jouster, this is we have a lot of beefy minions that can then proc this Battle Cry and give us Taunt and Divine Shield, but this could easily be a Sunwalker and be just as effective. I don't know. It's fine. We have the Emperor just to make all of our expensive cards a little cheaper. It's very nice to be able to play multiple 6 mana cards on a turn when you have 10 mana, if you reduce them to 5, so that's handy, or making this 4 mana. And then the final trick here is this here, Fandral Staghelm. And he gives us all sorts of value on all the gimmicky cards that are in Druid for choose 1. So we have Raven Idol for early play, but also, if you have him out, for 5 mana, you can play Fandral and then play Raven Idol and get both a minion and a spell, so it's extra value. You get extra value out of Wrath. You basically get to do 4 mana, 4 damage, and draw a card. You get extra value out of the Myra Keeper. You get both effects. There's not a lot of scenarios where that'll happen, but I guess if it's turn 8 and you play him and then the Myra Keeper, then that's fine. Nourish, again, not very often going to get both effects to be useful, but it doesn't hurt. Druid of the Claw, phenomenal. Gives you a 4/6 Taunter with charge. That's pretty cool. And then a little bit of extra value for the Ancients. This becomes a 10/10 with Taunt. This becomes both draw a card and get 5 health back somewhere. So a lot of synergy there. Not the most synergy. There are decks that can better use this effect. Particularly with a card like Feral Rage. This is a super handy effect, giving you both removal and 8 armor. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, the 8 armor is typically like an Ice Barrier type effect. You'd pay 3 mana for that anyways, so I have another Druid deck that I've been working on that kind of makes more effect out of this specifically, but it works well here, and it's just a good stat. I mean, 3/5 for 4 works well on its own. So, Into the depths we go. There are better players out there in the world than me. We've talked about that throughout this series, and I accept that, and that's fine. However, this is a relatively easy deck to mulligan for. You throw away your big mana targets. You look for anything that involves ramp. Innervates, Mire Keepers, Wild Growths, Thanasis Aspirants.
Must protect the wild.
We also don't mind going second in this spot because the coin can be useful to us, but here we're just going to toss Ragnaros, keep the other two. Not a mulligan we have to be super worried about. There are really high concept, high combo decks like some of the more modern takes on Miracle Rogue, for example, where it's a lot tougher to value what cards you're looking for, and you have to really think matchup specific. In this case, it's just keep the ramp, toss the rest.
Put this apple on your head.
A Knife Juggler.
Elune, guide my lance.
At least we don't have to worry about a straight trade with this Knife Juggler now that it's no longer a 3-2. We're going to try and fade the knife hit in our 2-3, though. Nope. Let's see if he wants to trade with it, though. Didn't think so. Didn't seem likely to be giving up the Knife Juggler in that spot, but that's okay. I think this play is pretty straightforward. We could double Wild Growth, but we don't really need to. We're gonna lose the mana from the Darnassus Aspirant, though, so I think we're gonna do just that. We'll leave the 1/1 alive. That's fine. Walk into 6 mana next turn and have a Master Jouster we can play if we need to. And we're only leaving a 1/1 on the board, so for the time being, that's okay. So you can see where this gets out of control pretty quickly if you had the right setup. And we've had a decent opening hand, not the best. Suddenly now we have this issue of, oh look, this is coming out. Turn 4. Now we know our friend has a Ragnaros, but we did lose the Joust, so we only have a 5/6 out. That's okay. Not entirely sure what this deck is doing then. It looked like it was more aggro with the Knife Juggler being coined out on turn 1, and then instead it's got a Ragnaros in it. Well, we can sort of wall that off for a little bit here. Take that one, it's a little regrets. Blessing the King's not a card we really wanted to see in that spot, but you know. At a certain point, you have to just accept the fact that your opponent has mana to play and cards to play, and you're not going to like what comes out, and that's okay. Still, we can play an Ironbark Protector next turn, so...
The light protects me.
Double Blessing the King. We don't actually have an answer for that right now. Though, I mean, this is as good as answer of anything right now. He can trade with it, I guess, but then he'll have wasted both Blessing of Kings. We're going to hope he doesn't have, like, a quality or something that'll deal with it much easier. This is the Equality Consecration turn.
Put this apple on your head.
Maybe a little overkill to use it here, but...
Reporting for duty.
So there it goes. So, I mean, yeah, he can trade with that, and that's to his advantage, but we got the mana lead anyways, so we don't really care. We get some extra value out of it. You know what? We're going to go ahead and play him. We need to get a board presence, and now we're going to get at least some value out of it for Ravenado, and we can look to draw other cards that activate off of it. These are all, pretty mediocre. Hey, there's Wrath, though. We like that. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take that Wrath, and we're going to play it right here. So he's going to go boom, 4 damage, we'll draw a card. We got an Innervate, that's nice. And Innervate means we can play both of those 6 mana cards in the same turn, for instance. It gives us some options here. You think of it as an early ramp accelerator, but it also works nicely here because we have a lot of high-value targets and only 10 mana, so...
Truth is my shield.
Oh, that's a great target for us. Thank you for playing that. You have no idea how good that is for us. I love it. Thanks.
None shall pass.
And we're going to go ahead and do this because why not? We could go especially huge here and innervate again, but let's not be too crazy, shall we? Don't want to be too crazy or too greedy.
Truth is my shield.
Huh.
It's time for a little blood.
Well, let's think about how we want to deal with that. Sylvanas is certainly an interesting option. We have all of these double effects we can activate with Fandral out. I think the simplest way is almost this. You'd think if he had like a quality in his hand, we would have played it already.
What to do?
Yeah. Both here and here.
I'm invincible.
A little weird, but kind of hedging our bets there. That's a terrific sign for us. If that's the best thing he's got so far to deal with that, then things are going to be ugly. He's going to have to trade his board into it now if he wants to get rid of it. And the problem with that, of course, is Fandral's still there. Still living the dream. And what we're going to do is we're going to innervate, nourish. Hell, I was going to hero power, but now that we got this, let's get some more value, shall we? Oh. Yeah, I think an Aviana will do nicely. Let's take a swipe. Why not?
Nothing but cash.
Good wild growth, but I think we've drawn enough cards. I don't think card draw is the issue here. We now have 8 to his 4. And board control. And I don't really know what he's going to do in this spot, but I'm sure it'll be exciting.
Reporting for duty.
And this turn sets itself up pretty self-explanatorily, I think. We just kind of go here, and then here, and then we start doing some fun trades. Could also make a case for going face there. I play a little too controlly. I think I've talked about that in past videos. I clear the board more often than I should, and that's okay. Is he finally going to get rid of it? Has he done it, America? So there's just one issue with that, and it's that Avion is alive, and he has 2 cards in hand, so we're not specifically all that terrified of, you know, anything. So we're going to play this. We're going to play this. We're going to play this for funsies. I think we play... Yeah. Yeah, I was going to play my whole hand out just to make you, you know, suffer for wasting my time. And that's the basic concept. We'll run it again tomorrow. We're going to do Hearthstone throughout this week, and then Chrono Trigger will return on Monday with the exciting continuation of that series. We will run this deck tomorrow, as mentioned, and then after that we'll mix it up a bit. Got a couple other new decks I've been cooking up, one of which I will probably be terrible with, but I do think is interesting and probably worth showcasing.